Why, hello there, fellow moon miners. Rodamon here. Thank you for tuning in to Surviving Ceres, Episode 2, Setting Up a Self-Sufficient Base. The other thing we might want to consider soon is a means to start drilling so that I don't have to do this stuff manually. Because manual resource grinding is good really early on to level you up, but then eventually you grow out of it. Once you get some initial levels and it just becomes labor, extra labor to do the manual resource acquisition. So once we make our first fuel, that I might deviate from the mission objectives just to get some drills down. Because I haven't been pumping my efficiency stat, I don't get good yields for manual mining anyway, so going to drills makes a lot of sense. So we landed somewhat in a valley here. And the map is, if you're wondering, it is not procedurally generated, and it is fairly finite, but there are other zones that get unlocked later on. And mining in the night is, really not my advantage here because I can barely see what I'm doing. Keep pumping that move speed stat. I'm gonna head back because I don't really have any carry weight anymore. I'm 94 at 105, so let's drop this stuff off and process it into some fuel. So exporting manufactured goods is the best way to earn funding based on item value. Funding is also used to unlock technologies and upgrades. I wouldn't necessarily want to send a rocket back to Earth without it having things worth export. So, although I do intend to, oh, why did I grab that? Although I do intend to, send a rocket back to Earth, not until I would want to wait for when we have some, reasonable export goods to actually sell. So, again, deviating from the goal here, there's some other things I would like to have. So one is a research station. So iron ore and ice in order to get research, and that's pretty critical. And then we're also going to want basic manufacturing as well, which maybe I get that one next, which is iron dust and copper dust. Iron dust and copper dust are made in the grinder, grinding up iron and copper ore. And then the other thing that we wanted to do is to get drills. So the first drill that we're going to go for is the iron one. So we get some automatic iron production. And the machine constructor, I need 5 iron bars to make the iron drill. There we go. All right. Now that the plants that I initially grew were matured, the farming stops watering them. It knows to do that automatically. And let's go ahead and plant some new potatoes down to grow our first, batch so we can move away from eating MREs. And give in to the Mark Watney feedback loop of potato survival. Right, and there's no more water to water the thing, so we're going to need some ice in order to do that. But I didn't process all my ice into coal, so we still have a little bit of ice left over for the potatoes. There we go. All right, there's our iron bars. And I'm going to craft 2 iron drills. At the same time, I'm going to grab the copper that we have and turn that into more solar panels. Because as I'm adding drills, we are going to require more power, and I don't want to exceed my power budget. Now the game says that you have to put your solar panels on, like, roof, but, like, I have not seen that to be a requirement. Alright, iron drills. Oh, hey, look at that. Hello, Mr. Bug. Starting the machine up. It is now drilling. I don't believe I have enough power. Well, I actually just added some solar. Maybe we do have enough power to get the other drill up. What's the speed that I'm aiming for? Really depends on how far I get. So let's check on our power grid. There's going to be an easier way once I get some research up for me to check on this, which is why I have it up here. All right, yeah, we have 16 megawatts left to play with, which is fine. Okay, iron drills 1 and 2 are online. Checking up on the grinder over here. We have all 20 coal. And then coal plus ice equals rocket fuel. Before we bother with that, let's get our research stations. So that's iron ore and ice. That's pretty straightforward. Got the iron ore over here. So now we just need to get some ice from... Oh, it's a blizzard. Lovely. Does movement speed increase the over encumbrance speed? No. I don't believe so. So basically, don't get over encumbered or you move like a snail. Would be the long and short of it. There is gear that you can craft for yourself. As you can see, I have equipped items slots up here, which is another way to increase your movement speed. Well, that falls under the just wait and see category. Brainbug, thank you for the resub. So that's another zirconium, which is an export material. And I'm going to head back to our plateau, because, like, I'm not going to find very much in the way of ice out here. There's a little copper there or something. Now, what's important to note is we need 10 units of fuel to fuel this rocket back up so it can go back to Earth, and then it can export up to 9 other slots of stuff for a maximum of 150 kilograms. And if we really wanted to, we could get ice this way, you know, by click exhausting. So there's at least always a way to, you know, if you're out of something, to get a small amount of income from it. So you're never completely progression locked. So here's the research station. And let's see. Where do I want this? How many snap points does this thing have? None? It's a dead end? I'll put it up here. So we are almost at our power max, but let's interact with the research station. So we can unlock, let's filter learned technologies. So here's what we can unlock: the teleporters, the pilgrim quarters, connectors, workshop, colony customization. We can unlock a copper drill, yes please, and an ice drill, yes please. And other drills, we can unlock displays, which I'm going to want pretty early on, and better picks, and things in the grinder. We can unlock new food recipes. We can unlock being able to make oxygen tanks or coffee. We can unlock parts to be manufactured. We can unlock seeds to be reprocessed. You can also unlock upgrades for all the drills and storage. You can unlock new blueprints for refining, which I'll get bronze, and then new blueprints for manufacturing, like export goods and the like. You can unlock facility upgrades, so like cheaper ice to water ratios for your farm, or cheaper fuel production, and then other miscellaneous like rocket upgrades. Alright, let's get some other drills up, but for us to get other drills up, we are also going to need to produce more power, because we're a bit limited on that. With that in mind, let's get wind turbines. So I just unlock wind turbine tech, because I have iron drills, and wind turbines are iron bars, so there's some synergy there where I regularly produce iron, and then I can turn that iron into power. I'm doing our potato harvest. And this time, I'm going to put 20 of the potato, or 40 of the potatoes back into seeds, and then 20 of the potatoes into cooked food, because I'm down to my last MRE, and I'm going to want more food soon. So, producing 49 bars of iron, and then I believe I already have some bars of iron in here that we can turn into some initial power. And yes, the drills work amazingly fast. Okay, expanding the power grid. I'll probably end up moving the turbines later on. At least for now, we'll just set it up simple. And let's check in on our power excess, because I don't want to run out of power. So, yeah, we are now got plenty of overhead power. Perfect. All right, I think it's time for us to set up the copper drills and the ice drills. So copper drills and ice drills require copper bars, and we have some copper bars for that. And then the ice requires raw ice, which we'll need to grab. I don't... Yep, there's not enough raw ice in the farm yet for it. That's fine. So let's at least set up this initial copper drill. And start it up. Now with all this excess iron that I've got, for now I'm just going to make even more power. And eventually we'll work on other things. Oh, actually, you know what? I had ice over here. So our ice drill. There we go. Now I have passive income of the 3 starting resources, which is like vitally important for long-term success. Love it. Alright, we're drilling now. Now, it would be a wise idea to get drills on the other side, too. Which I'll aim to do. So we have 4 of each. So that is 50 more ice and 5 more copper bars. So once crafting is done of all the iron that I've queued up, we'll go ahead and do that as well. And I probably just exceeded 100 megawatts, which is a milestone, which is why I was just awarded money. So we got a little bit of a wind farm going on. Blizzard finally ended. That's nice. Alright, once I have these 6 drills that are up on the plateau set up, we'll go back to running our first export. Another thing that I think would be nice to have is some doors. Just craft all 4 doors, that's fine. Here's the second ice drill, and then we're working on the copper bars for the second copper drill. Because I can remove doors whenever I want, I'm just gonna slap a whole bunch of doors down, knowing that they'll eventually become attachment points for other things later on. As it doesn't really matter for now. Alright, there's my copper. And we have even more wind turbines to set up. Wind turbines are just like cheap, easy power. They're not very... Their footprint is not very small, though. And there's a reason to have a smaller footprint later on. But I'm not going to worry about that, because it'd be getting way ahead of everything. Alright, and there it is. There's the copper drill. So let's get these drills set up, and then I'll have 6 drills. 2 of each of the primary resources. Okay. And as you can see, they fill up pretty quick. Oh, I can't move. Oops, I didn't really mean to drop all. I meant to drop some. So, let's figure out what we want to drop. Pick. Oxygen. Water. Food. Is that enough? Nope. I can always come back for it. There we go. It takes a while for resources to decay, and if they decay, oh well, I'm drilling an infinite amount. So, it's not like, much of a problem. So in order to have things worth exporting, we're going to need some basic manufacturing. And that is what I'm working towards now. That we have got, like, our food and water under control. As we have ice drills that feed our potatoes and liquid production, we have got a reliable source of ice. And we're not going to need, we're not going to starve or dehydrate to death anymore. So I'm just grabbing the ice that's out here and then putting it to use both in liquid oh, I can't move again. Why do I keep doing this to myself? Both in liquid production and farming. Alright. Another batch of potatoes coming out. And water coming out. So, the next thing I want to build is the basic manufactory, which allows us to make stuff. And for that, we need the grinder for iron, dust, and copper dust. So let's start making the iron dust. And then grabbing resources from our drills for the copper dust as well. I'm doing a really bad job of, like, managing carry weight, though. I need to be better about that. So I'm holding a whole bunch of... what I need to do is make some more storage. Here we go. That's a little bit better. Taking a look at the research tree. So if we go to the blueprint unlocks for the basic manufactory, we're going to want maybe some tier 2 exports, which I'll explain what those are in a minute. So I need to move 100 more copper here in order to get the dust needed for the manufactory. You can see why I got move speed, because until we have some proper logistics, a lot of this is just running over to the drills and then back. Yes, you could build your base next to a set of the drills, but then you'd be further from the others, so I just split the difference and decided the middle was fine. Alright, get the copper dust, and then with these metals, I will smelt them down. And then this extra ice can go to the farm so that we assure water supply for our lovely potatoes. So the other thing we're going to need to do is to actually make the fuel. So here's the fuel refinery. And in order to make the fuel, we need ice with the coal. So, actually, let's grab some of that ice that I just dropped into the farm and start to make fuel with it. Perfect. So we're crafting 10 fuel, which is exactly what we need in order to launch a rocket back to Earth. And we're banging out milestones like crazy. Alright, so in 2 minutes, the copper will be ground up, then we grind to the rest of the iron. Yes, I could get another grinder. Alright, so some other things that we were considering. Iron bars for storage would be nice. So I have lots of iron over here, no problem. So let's go and make some storage for our workshop. I think that makes a whole lot of sense. Some of the other factories that have not yet built, the parts constructor, which is 10 iron bars, the recycler, which is 10 iron bars, and the decoration, which is 20 copper bars, I think are all probably wise. So 10 and 10, there we go. So parts, getting that going. And then for the storages, what I'll do is just put storages... around here. And now I won't have to carry around so much, because we'll have plenty of storage. Awesome. Alright, so there's the parts constructor. That one's important. You might even want 2 of them. I'm going to start with just the one, but like 2 is not unreasonable or more, to be honest. And then one of the benefits of the decoration constructor, there is a milestone to put down a decoration, but one of the reasons I'm getting is it allows you to make signs, which if you get lost in your own base, being able to put signs on the walls and stuff are super, super useful. So recycle allows you to break down stuff you don't need any longer. That's another good one to have, of course. So I'll put my parts over here. And then the related storages next to these facilities, this can be like parts storage. This can be bars storage. Or ingot storage. This can be ice and water. I guess with the naming scheme I should do H2O storage, and then food and seed. Ta-da! Storag, yes. All right, decorations. I'm not going to be using this one very much, so I'll just plop it up here. But what I would like to do is get the customizable posters eventually, so I can, like, have directions. I think that would be nice to have. And then while we're doing that, let's grind up the last of the iron, because I'm sure it's ready to go. So the ones with the stands can be built outside, and the ones without the stands can be built inside. And there is a milestone for, like, decorating, so I'm going to get a milestone here. So if I wanted to say something like, plop a poster here, and to the right we have a refinery. So I'll do a right arrow, refinery. And that way I know where my refinery is. And then to the left will be the manufactory. So let's get that set up. There, see? Perfect. Okay, maybe not. Yoink. But yeah, you get the idea. So it's definitely going to help to keep things organized. Alright, now that we've got the materials, manufacturer, getting that built. And this is so that we can actually export things worth a damn back to Earth. So here's our basic manufacturer. It's basically a mirror of this. And we can turn copper bars and iron bars into an export good, or bronze bars into an export good. And bronze bars yields more money. Ooh, low on water. Drink and eat. So what I intend to do is to export a whole bunch of stuff back to Earth of iron and or of bronze bars. So bronze bars is just iron and copper mixed in together. Don't think about it too hard. And let's go over to our fuel refinery, grab the fuel. So I have in order to make the bronze, we just mix copper and iron together. So, when you're... Oh, perfect. When you're loading up your exports, you run over to the rocket, and then you load in the fuel, and then 9 other slots of stuff. So we have zirconium, which is 1 slot, and then where the other slots are going to be the bronze export goods. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and mass supply bronze so that we can export a whole lot of stuff back to Earth. Also, when the drills fill up, often they will stop running, so you have to turn them back on when you empty them out. Just worth noting. Mentioning. And then these bronze will become more tier 2 exports. So like this drill stayed online. Well, I guess it's not technically full yet. You know what? Having 399 is... Yeah, let's just get the full stack. I don't even think I can put copper back. It's a one-way. Yeah, as far as what the names of the resources go, like, don't think about it too hard, you'll hurt yourself, is my answer. Because, yes, fuel obviously is not, like, copper mixed with ice or, you know, whatever. Can you get more than one building like a refiner? You can get as many as you want, because you make them from scratch. So some buildings you don't need more of, like a wireless power station, you only need one and done. Same with mission control or research station. But the other buildings, yeah, it might make sense to have multiples, depending on if that is indeed your bottleneck or not. Alright, while we are smelting that stuff, another thing I'd like to do is to make more water and make more fuel. You know, I'm overweight. I've never been so called out by a game in my life. Oh, I'm still overweight. The potatoes are ready. The fuel refinery or grinder is over here. Still, oh, there we go, perfect. Now, turning all that copper we got into ingots, and then we'll mix that into bronze, and then we'll export that back to Earth. And we'll be able to launch our first rocket in a minute. And that's going to give us a lot of seed money in order to get, like, funds for research and the like. And we'll need even more ice for the rocket fuel. Wind farm is a mess? Yeah, I didn't try to make it nice, because, frankly, I didn't care. A lot of what is out there is, like, more or less temporary, so it doesn't need to be in a, like, a perfectly aligned or laid out or anything like that. That doesn't matter to me. Not in the least. Alright, let's do potatoes, I guess. Especially if we are eventually going to get colonists, it would be wise to have a really good source of supply of of food. So 48 potatoes. And what I plan on doing is like every other batch can be of for seeds or not seeds. Okay, so 2 minutes on that. And grinder is free. And there is half of the fuel we need for another export batch. And 1 minute there. Not too shabby. Six minutes on that. I think right now we could use more ice turned into water. Thank you for tuning in to Surviving Ceres, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Radamont.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Radamont.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow pilgrims.